What if Anakin time traveled to save his mother? In Attack of the Clones, Anakin has a vision of his mother dying, and when he follows his senses to Tatooine, he watches her die in a Tusken Raiders camp. This set in motion Anakin's fall to the dark side, and it was this beginning point that began his descent to evil. But what if this wasn't the case? And what if, later on in Anakin's life, he time traveled to save his mother? How would that change the Star Wars timeline we all know and love today? Let's start today's story in the Council Chambers. Anakin has just learned that Palpatine is the Sith Lord they have been looking for. He left and told Mace Windu, who instructed Skywalker to remain in the Council Chambers until he returned. As Anakin waited in the Council Chambers, he thought about everything that had just transpired. Palpatine was the Sith Lord? How is that even possible? Isn't this the same man who has mentored him his entire childhood? He has always been a friend to him. Why would have he done that if he was just a Sith Lord? So many thoughts ran through Anakin's mind as he tried to figure out what was going on. He shuts his eyes as he begins meditating. He thinks through his entire life, growing up on Tatooine with his mother, Qui-Gon, becoming a Jedi, the Clone Wars, Ahsoka, Padme. There's so many thoughts that come in and out. How has everything become so bad? He wonders to himself. Anakin doesn't know what to do. Deep down, Anakin knew that Palpatine was manipulating him, and the reason he had mentored him was so Anakin would one day turn to the dark side. But as Anakin thought back, his mind remained fixated on his mother. Shmi was the best out there, kind-hearted, pure, and loved her family. He missed her more than he could ever explain. But as he remembers her death, his emotions begin to rise. Tears stream down his face as he remembers seeing the damage the Tusken Raiders had done to her. They weren't human, they were animals. But as he focuses on his mother, suddenly a portal appears right in the middle of the council chambers, unlike anything he had ever seen before. Anakin's immense Chosen One powers have meant the Force has granted him a second chance. He doesn't know that this place is called the World Between Worlds, but it didn't matter. As Anakin stared through the portal, he could see Shmi lying in the Tusken Raiders camp. She was still alive, and she could be saved. At this moment, Anakin doesn't think for another second. He jumps through the portal, landing on Tatooine 3 years prior. All the Tuskens stare at him in confusion before they attack. Just like in Attack of the Clones, Anakin ignites his sapphire blade and swings with no mercy. This time, he wasn't avenging his mother, he was saving her. As he cuts down the final raider, he goes into the tent that Shmi was in. Anakin was overwhelmed with emotions. He was back with his mother. He thought he'd never see her again. He remembers growing up on Tatooine with her being the best mother he could have ever hoped for. Anakin tells Shmi that he's her son, and he's here to rescue her. Tears fill her eyes as she cries that Anakin has grown up so much.
Now in the galaxy far, far away, the Jedi had the Force to shield their minds from prying eyes. Here in our galaxy, the Sith Lords of the Internet, your ISP, school, or work IT, even the websites you visit are watching your every move. And no, browsing incognito mode is not the same as a Jedi mind trick. Incognito hides your history locally, but the Empire is still tracking you. That's why you need CyberGhost VPN, your own personal cloaking device for the digital realm. With over 38 million users worldwide and a near perfect Trustpilot score, it's the most recommended VPN in the galaxy. More than 20,000 people rated it excellent, and after trying it, it's easy to see why. CyberGhost encrypts and reroutes 100% of your traffic through their secure servers. Once you flip it on, no Sith, bounty hunter, or nosy administration droid will know what system you're traveling through online. And with servers in over 100 countries, you will always have hyperspace routes open, no matter where you are. With CyberGhost, you can unlock over 40 streaming platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime, kind of like accessing hidden holocrons of entertainment across the galaxy. The app works on all operating systems and protects up to 7 devices at once. That means you, your crew, or even your whole rebel cell can stay covered. CyberGhost keeps no logs. Not even they will know what you are up to. If you're ready to step out of the shadows of the dark side of surveillance, now is the perfect time. By using the link in the description, you'll get an 83% discount and 4 months free. Plus, with a 45-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 support, it's completely risk-free. So go grab CyberGhost VPN through the link below and start protecting your digital life.
From here, Anakin and Shmi return to the Lars homestead. Klieg, Owen, and Beru are overjoyed to see that Shmi was home safe. They had all given up hope and believed she was dead. Shmi introduces everyone to her son, Anakin Skywalker, but this caused everyone to freeze. No, it can't be. That can't be Anakin Skywalker. Shmi immediately protested, but as she stood up for her son, Anakin and Padme stepped out from the moisture farm. It was clear to everyone that Attack of the Clones Anakin and Revenge of the Sith Anakin looked the same, but still no one had an explanation. Fear gripped Shmi's voice as she confessed that she doesn't understand. Anakin knew he had to tell them. He said he's from the future, 3 years from now. The Force gave him a chance to come back, to save his mother, and that's exactly what he did. He wouldn't lose her again. He admitted that in his timeline, Shmi dies from her wounds. Nobody could believe it. Time travel, Shmi's death, it didn't make any sense. But while everyone tried to come to terms with what was happening, Anakin made the situation even more confusing. He turns to the younger Anakin and Padme, and he warns them about what's coming. The Clone Wars, chaos across the galaxy, but the most important thing he could tell them was a truth that only he had just learned. He said that Chancellor Palpatine is the Sith Lord behind the Clone Wars. Anakin said maybe if they act now, they can save this timeline better than they could save his. At first, the younger Anakin protested. He said that Palpatine is not a bad man. He watched over him ever since he arrived at the temple. If it wasn't for him, he would be a very different Jedi. Even Padme had her doubts. They were both Naboo senators at one point in time. She knew who he was, and he wasn't evil. But Anakin said he was telling the truth, that how they are feeling is what he used to feel, but they must see reason. Palpatine is the Sith Lord. Shmi interjects and insists that both Anakins go to the Jedi Council together. Maybe then the entire Order could do something about this. Revenge of the Sith Anakin agreed. If they are to be powerful enough to stop Sidious, they need the Council's help. Both Anakins, Padme, and Shmi travel back to Coruscant immediately. The younger Anakin was nervous. He thought he would be in a lot of trouble for abandoning his post with Padme. He was supposed to stay on Naboo with her, but now somehow he traveled to Tatooine, met his mother, which is forbidden for a Jedi, and then somehow came in contact with his future self. It had been one hell of a day, but it would only get weirder. Both Anakins and Shmi stand before the Jedi Council. It's safe to say the Council were nothing but confused. There were 2 Anakin Skywalkers in front of them. How is that possible? Murmurs and whispers spread throughout the Council, but no one could come to an adequate conclusion. Anakin and Shmi simply just stood there, waiting for the Council to address them. Yoda spoke first, breaking the tension. He said to the older Anakin that he could sense that he is strong in the Force, but wonders how he is here. This is when Anakin comes clean. He explains that he is from the future and the Force has sent him back to this time to save his mother from death, which he has done. But he explained that he believes he is also here for one more reason, to save the Republic from the grips of the Sith. Shock encompasses the Council. Anakin says they are on the brink of war, explaining that Obi-Wan Kenobi just discovered an entire clone army commissioned for the Republic to use against the Separatists. The Council couldn't believe what they are hearing. Ki-Adi-Mundi asks why they should believe him. There's no such thing as time travel. Seizi-Tin supports this, explaining that he can only believe what he knows to be true. But that's when Yoda stands in support of Anakin. He tells the Council about the world between worlds, an ethereal realm that lives in the center of the Force and the real world. It's a timeless place where you can go as far into the future as you desire, but also into the past. Anakin nodded his head. He said the Force called out to him to return to this time. Master Windu asked Yoda how he knows about this place, to which the Jedi Master explains that he learned of it as a Padawan when he was 200 years old. He explained that he and his master discovered it when they traveled to the wellspring of life. No one questioned Yoda. What he said must be true. Yoda asked Skywalker what he has come here to tell them. With a heavy chest, Anakin explains that Chancellor Palpatine is the Sith Lord who will try and overthrow the Republic. No one could believe that Palpatine was evil. At this point in the timeline, Palpatine hadn't attracted any suspicion from the Council. He was simply the successful Chancellor who caused the Senate to want to extend his rule beyond the allowed 2 terms. But when they thought about it, it made sense. Windu said they need a plan. They must act now before things get out of hand, or the Chancellor discovers that they know the truth. Everyone nodded in approval. Kit Fisto stood to his feet and said they should rush him now. All 12 of them could easily destroy him. This caused Agen Kola and Oppo Rancisis to join Fisto on his feet, but Yoda told them to stop. He said that even if they could defeat Palpatine now, they needed proof. The Senate wouldn't accept that Palpatine was a Sith who technically hadn't done anything wrong. They needed to prove that him being a Sith is linked to the invasion of Naboo and the Separatist evil dealings over the recent years. They all pondered on how to do this, but that's when the older Anakin said that he had a plan. All 12 council members, including both Anakin Skywalkers, arrive at Palpatine's office. They all remain outside, except for Revenge of the Sith Anakin, who enters alone. Palpatine sends Anakin's Force signature before seeing his face, assuming that Anakin returned from Naboo, but when he spun around, the smile on his face dropped, and he asked what the meaning of this was. Anakin declared that he was from the future, that the Force itself had sent him back, and that he knew the truth. Every secret that Palpatine had spent the better half of 2 decades trying to protect. He called him his real name, Darth Sidious, and Palpatine's Sith eyes burned through. He felt his chest contract as he realized that he was about to lose everything. He needed to silence this pretender. Palpatine's lips curled into a twisted smile as he admitted to it all. He confessed to creating the war, manipulating both the Jedi and the Sith, to planning the death of the Order and rise of the Empire. But most importantly, he said that he paid the Trade Federation to invade Naboo a decade ago, and that he commissioned a clone army to be made. And all the dealings that the Separatists were doing were all from his design. He essentially confessed to everything on the spot. Then, Anakin reached for his belt and pressed a small switch. A faint red light blinked as the recording ended. Palpatine's smile faded. The doors to his chamber burst open, and the entire Jedi Council marched in, lightsabers igniting one by one. Palpatine looked around, horror stretched across his face. Yoda declared that his rule was at an end. In this moment, rage completely overwhelmed Sidious. He had never felt this much hate for the Jedi, and his power grew to unprecedented levels. He ignited 2 Sith lightsabers from his sleeve. He wouldn't go down without a fight. The room ignited into a chaotic battle of lightsabers. All 14 Jedi mobilized their defenses as they began attacking Palpatine from all sides. At this point, 0 of them had any experience fighting a Sith Lord. In fact, no one had really dueled with a lightsaber before. It just wasn't something they were taught to do before the Clone Wars, as there was no real need to. The Sith had been extinct for over a millennia. Palpatine quickly attacked the weaker Jedi, stabbing Coleman Cash through the chest before spinning, killing Adi Gallia and Evan Peel in one strike. He was unstoppable. The younger Anakin remained on the defensive and fought on the outside. He was one of the weaker Jedi there, but it was the older Anakin who fought with everything he had. He knew he could defeat Palpatine. He was not stronger than him. Yoda leaped around the room and tried to fight from different points. Palpatine knew he had to get more council members gone if he had any chance of surviving this, so he leaped back, placed his saber up his sleeve, and created the largest push of lightning that he had ever conjured. Anakin blocked with his lightsaber and used the Force to ensure his younger self was protected. Yoda raised his hands and defended with the Force as Plo Koon fired Force Judgment to shield the attack. Even Windu was able to block the strike, but everyone else failed. Aegon Kola, Sazi Tin, Kit Fisto, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Shakti, and Operan Sissus were killed directly on impact. Palpatine declared they were no match for him. He is the master of all 7 forms of lightsaber combat. He is the most powerful man in the galaxy. But Yoda stood triumphant, stating that hate and anger don't make you powerful, but resisting those negative traits do. Sidious scoffed as he re-entered the fight. He swung at Anakin whilst Windu and Plo remained on the outside. When Palpatine saw an opening, he force pushed Windu and Plo back before pinning the younger Anakin to the ground. He raised his saber above his head as Anakin shouted no in defiance. Sidious screamed at Anakin, telling him that this is what he wanted, saying that he mistook his kindness for love, but all he has ever cared about is himself. Anakin was only a tool in a larger game, and ever since he was a child, he fell for it. Even though Anakin had surrendered Palpatine from his future, he couldn't help but feel rage consume him. When Palpatine swung his lightsaber down towards the younger Anakin, the older Anakin used the Force to push Palpatine into the wall. Sidious lay on the floor in pain, as all 5 remaining Jedi stood above him. Once more, Palpatine shot lightning. But this time, Yoda and Plo Koon stood in front with his Tutuminous and electric judgment. They redirected the full power of Palpatine's lightning straight back into his face. He screamed in pain and suffering as his face was seared from his body. Darth Sidious was dead. Everyone let out a sigh of relief, but as they looked at their fallen friends all over the office, they couldn't help but feel sadness. Yoda and Windu thanked the older Anakin, telling him that they couldn't have done this without him, that he saved the galaxy. Anakin smiled. He didn't need to be thanked. He was just happy that this timeline is now spared from the agony of years of war. Beside the window, the same portal that Anakin saw in the council chambers appeared, but in this timeline, it led to the sunny and grassy Naboo. He said goodbye to the council and to the younger Anakin as he stepped through the portal. As Anakin arrives on Naboo, he realizes that he is at the lake house where he and Padme got married. He hears laughter and playing, and when he walks into the dining room, he sees Padme, their two children, Luke and Leia, and beside them all was his mother, Shmi. Luke and Leia both ran over to him, asking to come and play Force Ball. Anakin smiled. He had everything he had ever wanted.
Don't forget to click on the description link to get the special discount CyberGhost VPN is granting to our channel users. This application will protect your data while you browse and give you full access to all blocked content on the internet for $2.03 a month only. Totally risk-free, so check it out. Link in the description.
If you enjoyed today's video, you must watch What If Vader time traveled to kill Palpatine and What If Luke joined Vader. Please check out Fantasy Sabers if you're looking for an affordable saber to add to your collection. We offer RGB, Xenopixel or Profi in various sizes and designs. Also check out our membership program to be able to watch our videos early. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.